Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for taking time to tune in. So today we're going to talk about some firearm laws that's kind of in the shadows, not really brought to mainstream media. I guess not unless you're looking, right? So this one's titled, Supreme Court Allows Brandon Ghost Gun Rule to Remain in Effect for Now. The U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday voted to allow President Brandon's final rule reclassifying some gun parts as firearms to stand while the matter plays out in appeals court. The U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday voted to allow President Brandon's final rule reclassifying some gun parts as firearms to stand while the matter plays out in an appeals court. The newest court ruling on the so-called ghost gun rule came after Justice Samuel Alito twice stayed a federal judge's injunction that had blocked the rule from being enforced during an appeal on the earlier ruling finding the law to be unconstitutional. The Supreme Court action in Garland versus Vanderstock, a surprise to too many, came on a 5-4 vote with Justice Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh dissenting, two of the conservative members of the court. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett voted to allow the rule to remain in force, as did liberal Justice Ketanji, probably butchering that, Brown Jackson, Ellen Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor. On June 30, U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor, a George W. Bush appointee, vacated the rule, noting its lengthy ruling that the federal government simply does not have regulatory power over firearm parts, regardless of the Justice Department's apparent belief that it does possess such authority. Because of the Supreme Court action, the final rule will begin in effect with the federal government appealing the rule in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The Firearm Policy Coalition Action Foundation, which along with Mountain States Legal Foundation represents the plaintiffs in the case, expressed dismay the Supreme Court had stepped in and put rule into effect again, for the lower court had blocked it. We're deeply disappointed that the court pressed pause on our defeat. ATF's rules affected redefining firearm and frame of receiver under the federal law. Cody Wininski, I'm not even going to bother. FPCAF's general counsel said in a release statement, regardless of today's decision, we're still confident that we'll yet again defeat ATF in its unlawful rule of the Fifth Circuit when the court has the opportunity to review the merits of our case. Indeed, the government will have to its work cut out for its proving its point on appeal, as Judge O'Connor made some very good points in blocking the final rule. The Gun Control Act precise wording demands precise application. Judge O'Connor wrote in his ruling, Congress could have described a firearm as many combinations of parts that would produce a weapon that would fire a projectile. It uses a language elsewhere in the definitions Congress could have described as a firearm for any part designed to be part of a weapon. It is used at the language too. Congress could have described a firearm as set as parts that may be readily assembled into a weapon, as it did in a destructive device. All right, that's one that's in the news. All right, the U.S. government will add $5 billion to its debt pile every single day for the next 10 years, says analysis. Could you imagine $5 billion every single day? Can anyone explain the craziness to this? There is no way that none of this is ever going to be paid back. In the aftermath of Fitch U.S. credit downgrade, one analysis has offered an ominous forecast for the outlook. Government finances over the next decade. In research notice published to investors Thursday, that down into one eye-watering figure. Using data from the Congressional Budget Office, independent federal agency that forecasts government debt will rise from $32.5 trillion now to $50 trillion by 2033. Harrod broke this down into U.S. government debt rising by $5.2 billion every single day for the next 10 years. It's equivalent of giving every single American citizen $15 each morning, or about half the sum Jeff Bezos added to his personal fortune on Friday. Per the CBO's report, debt will jump from 98% of U.S. gross domestic product to 181% by 2053, rivaling ratios seen only during Second World War. And Fitch hokey pokey scamdemic. The downgraded comes after the government hits its 31.4 trillion borrowing limit in January, brokering an inversion in the 11th hour to raise the debt ceiling. It expects to have borrowed another $1 trillion in the third quarter of 2023 alone. Under the current laws, this fiscal hole shows no sign of narrowing over the long term. These articles will be listed in the description box. Whoa, right? You just cannot wrap your head around such nonsense. This is frightening. This is scary. There is no way, we keep beating the horse, but it's no way that one can sustain, any nation, any country can sustain such debt. It's the house of cards is going to fold. It's going to crumble. It's all going to come crashing down. And who's going to be left in the sorrow of it all? It's going to be the U.S. citizens, right? It's not going to be them. It's going to be the people like you, me, the people that are working hard, paying taxes, and they're spending. It's like, imagine, how can I word this? It's like you're going to work every day, all right? And you have to pay said person that you don't even know your hard-earned money. And you're watching them living life luxuriously, traveling in private jets, and eating, at the best, finest dining, while you're picking up the tab for it all, right? And your money is going for things that you don't believe in, such as abortions, giving more money and weapons to Ukraine, giving money to the Taliban, etc., etc., etc. That's like a serious slap in the face when people are just trying to do the right thing, trying to pay their bills and keep afloat. And then you hear, when you break it down, $5 billion every single day. That is very scary, everyone. Please continue to prep. And it's kind of a nice, cool day for August here in Southern California. It's overcast. It's not too hot. It's only about 80, so 85, so the weather is pretty good. I'm out doing some errands. Anyway, everyone, I just wanted to report those three that I just saw in the news this morning. Keep prepping, stay safe out there, and until my next video, keep your head on a swivel. All right, God bless everyone.